A WWE legend thinks Jey Uso is being held down. CM Punk wants an AJ Lee return. Was Joe Hendry buried? And more. I'm Luke Owen and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
While the Triple H era of WWE has been a major upgrade over the previous era, one of its crowning achievements did come from that previous era. The Bloodline formed as a group during the Thunderdome times of WWE and have been a dominant and featured force on Raw and SmackDown ever since. They've headlined pay-per-views, main evented WrestleManias, and its tribal chief Roman Reigns was WWE champion for over 1,000 days. Well, that's if you truly believe that Roman is the tribal chief. I think that is currently up for debate. Not only that, but Jimmy and Jey Uso also had success, holding the tag titles for over 300 days. The Rock returned to WWE, turned heel, and joined the group. And since Roman left our screens following WrestleMania, Solo Sikoa has become SmackDown's top heel with a new bloodline around him, featuring Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, Tonga Loa, and Tonga Loa's botched spots. The bloodline has been the most talked about story, faction, and angle in WWE for years, and the fan speculation is that we might see Roman return at SummerSlam, which will lead to his original bloodline reuniting to take on Bloodline 2000 in War Games come November. But all of that isn't quite enough for one member of the Bloodline family tree. Rikishi, the father of the Usos and Solo Sikoa, has been very vocal over the last few months about a perceived lack of push for Jey Uso. Jey has been one of the more over acts of 2024, with his Yeet merchandise selling very well at live events and on WWEshop.com, but he hasn't had a proper storyline since he beat his brother at WrestleMania, a match that he himself admits was a disappointment. He fought Damian Priest over the World Heavyweight Championship at Backlash, but that's about it. He's only wrestled 10 times on Raw since WrestleMania, 2 of which were King of the Ring tournament matches. And now Rikishi has spoken out again against WWE and their treatment of Jey Uso, feeling that he's being held down. He said on his Off the Top podcast, "They're not doing a damn thing with Yeet. My opinion's why? Why do you not push or give the most popular babyface, in my eyes, be it my son or not, if the Yeet Master or the Yeet Man is over? Why? How come? What is the problem? Not giving this guy some type of title, something, win something. It'd only be good for business, wouldn't it?" Rikishi argues that Jey Uso is over. He's selling merchandise, he's pushing ticket sales, but WWE are not capitalizing on that momentum that Jey Uso worked for. In particular, Rikishi feels like he shouldn't have been left off the SummerSlam card and is quite insulted by the most recent development where he's been flirting with Rhea Ripley. That's the best those writers got? Let's write this guy into a relationship with Mummy? What are y'all trying to do? Break his marriage up? Y'all can't put him in a good storyline, so what you gonna do now? God forbid you guys try to tongue kiss each other on Raw. That better not happen. What do you make of Rikishi's comments? Do you think that WWE are not doing enough with Jey Uso? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're checking out the comments, why not check out this clip from this past weekend's Who Really Killed the Original NXT? You know, the game show version. The following month, Barrett got his prize for winning the first season of NXT, a shot at any title he wanted, and he cashed that in for Night of Champions 2010 against WWE Champion Sheamus in a match that had 4 other guys. He did not win. Caval, for the record, cashed in his title shot opportunity on the Intercontinental Championship at that year's Survivor Series. He lost, and then was released 1 month later. Someone who did make it onto the SummerSlam card is one CM Punk, who announced on this past episode of Raw that he's now officially medically cleared and will be facing Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee. Of course CM Punk gets to be the Bret Hart in this storyline. After a rather, shall we say, tumultuous time in AEW, CM Punk in his WWE return has been a different story. And one of the big positive reports to come out about Punk since his return has been his spending time down in NXT, particularly with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. And the current NXT Women's Champion has spoken about working with Punk and how they both want to see a certain someone return to WWE. Perez told Pro Wrestling Illustrated that wrestling AJ Lee, CM Punk's IRL wife, would be a dream match, and that she's doing all she can to convince her to get back in the ring. And so is CM Punk. She said, "Punk tells me that he's doing the same thing. He's trying to get her to come back, pulling her in. But I hope one day she decides to come back and have a match with me." Would you like to see AJ Lee return to WWE? Maybe have a run down in NXT? Let me know in the comments down below. And if she does come back, there will be some new faces for her to face, as Fightful Select are reporting that WWE have signed a deal with another free agent. 2024 has seen WWE pick up Julia and Stephanie Vaquer, the latter of which had an offer from AEW that she turned down in favor of WWE. And now Corey Brennan of Fightful is reporting that Australian wrestler Delta has signed a deal with WWE. Delta got attention from the company during her tryout ahead of Elimination Chamber, which was held in Perth this year, but actually oddly feels like years ago, and Brennan reports that she has been given the all clear to finish up her Australian dates before moving to the US to work with WWE full-time. But Stephanie Vaquer had to pull out of her New Japan and Rev Pro dates, huh? Brennan adds that Delta is scheduled to head to the US next month, and while there is no time frame on her WWE debut, she will report to NXT along with Vaquer and Julia. What's been really cool about this news on Twitter and stuff like that is that a lot of people are now looking to find out more about Delta and get an idea of what she's like before she debuts. To be honest, I don't know all that much about her. The only Australian wrestler I really know is Simone Williams, and that's because she was on The Traitors. So if you do have any recommendations for Delta matches, let everyone know in the comments. But while Delta is making moves to the US, All Elite Wrestling is looking to stay exactly where it is. The ongoing talks between AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery have been a big talking point for a lot of 2024, especially if you're a wrestling star of the 1990s looking to stay relevant in 2024 by talking about it on a podcast, hoping to get headlines on websites and aggregation on Twitter. But while WWE sewed up all of their TV deals late last year and early this year, SmackDown to USA, NXT to CW, Raw to Netflix, AEW are yet to announce their TV deal. Tony Khan has spoken about being approached by other networks, but he wants to remain loyal to WBD as they've had such a good relationship over the last 5 years. But that negotiation period is almost up. So what's the latest? Fans noticed over the weekend that AEW's content library started appearing on Max, Warner Bros. Discovery's streaming platform, which looked to be a positive sign between the two parties, and that, well, a new deal announcement must be imminent, right? Fightful Select are reporting that an announcement won't be imminent as the deal is expected but not done. Sean Rossap reports that the framework of a deal is in place, it just hasn't been agreed to by both parties. He writes both AEW and WBD expect a new deal to be reached and the relationship to continue, and say things continue to be amicable. SRS adds that Tony Khan and WBD's David Zaslav are scheduled for a meeting in Paris during the Olympics, but that is not a guarantee a deal will be signed there. Fightful add that WBD offered a deal to AEW a few months ago, but AEW didn't agree to it, so they're still negotiating. Someone who won't be around for that new deal should one get signed is Frankie Kazarian, who was one of the first people to sign with All Elite Wrestling back in 2019. He signed as part of the group SCU with Christopher Daniels and Scorpio Sky. The group were a heavily pushed act in the early days of Dynamite, with Sky and Kazarian winning the tag titles and Sky pinning Chris Jericho on TV to set up a world title match. However, the group was split up in 2021 when they ran an angle that if they lost to the Young Bucks, Kazarian and Daniels wouldn't team up again. By this point, Sky had turned heel and split away from the group and started tagging with Ethan Page. SCU lost that match to the Bucks, and Kazarian would leave AEW in 2023 to rejoin TNA, where he wrestled a lot in the 2000s and the 2010s. And now, Kazarian has taken a shot at his former employer, responding to a fan on Twitter who said that AEW dropped the ball with SCU, saying, "Should have never been broken up," along with a gif of Chris Jericho saying that it was a stupid idea from bad creative. Kazarian has had more success since his return to TNA, even appearing on NXT in their Battle Royal to crown a new #1 contender where he eliminated Joe Hendry. And last night's NXT saw a video appearance from Hendry because someone must have said his name. But he did not have the TNA World Championship with him. In what could be argued as the most TNA thing possible, TNA looked at one of the hottest acts in all of professional wrestling and decided to put their world title on Dolph Ziggler, the ex-WWE guy. I absolutely adore you, TNA. But Ziggler, who now wrestles under his real name Nick Nemeth, has defended that choice on Busted Open Radio, saying that the loss did not bury Joe Hendry. He said a lot of people going, "Joe Hendry got buried." The least thing you could ever say about anyone in that match was someone got buried. What an amazing moment. We set up a bunch of stories for a bunch of people. Joe Hendry is coming for the world title. Nemeth argues that putting the title on Hendry might have got more views on YouTube, but he wants to work with him now to make sure that he'll be ready to be the top guy when TNA does pull the trigger. That's all from me today. Go check out Who Really Killed the Original NXT, where we relive the oddness of the game show era of NXT.